Hello, all, and welcome to my presentation about my proposed District 88 instructional plan. This is me, Tara Murphy. This is in conjunction with University of St. Francis and is part of the course that I'm currently taking. The main things that I'm going to talk about are the open communication between all stakeholders, obviously students being at the center of that, and creating goals so that students are at the forefront of that. They're positioned in the middle because of that. And obviously, the other stakeholders would be the teachers who are communicating with the students, of course, and then the teachers who then communicate with the admin and the IT staff to make sure that everything is running as smoothly as possible. The areas that I discussed in my instructional technology plan are as follows. Area 1 is the software and information maintenance and security. Within that, some of the main points that I talk about are having a committee of teachers, students, admin, and IT staff that sits down once a month and talks about the needs, the wants, and the struggles that each of those constituents are feeling. Having a Google Drive with instructions and updated directions on all of the hardware and software that District 88 supports. And then also having and making sure that the IT staff is staying up to date by attending yearly conferences. I looked up a bunch of these different conferences and they exist. There's obviously also groups that the IT staff can be a part of, as well as a lot of discussion boards where different IT staffs from different schools have those types of discussions. So being important and encouraging. And then, if this were to go through, having the IT staff be a part of these things and then supporting it by paying for it. The next area is area 2, which is the network infrastructure plan. Some of the main areas there are in accordance with SIPA, obviously limiting access to distracting or harmful sites. The filter on the students would be obviously more strict. With the teachers, they would have less strict. But I learned this from one of the other people in my class, but having a link where websites that are automatically blocked from the filter are submitted to the IT staff through a Google Doc, and then the IT staff turns around and then makes those things accessible. That's something that I know as a teacher I have experienced and think it's a great idea. Having continued training, like I said, for the IT staff, but also from the IT staff. I don't have at my school a lot of communication directly with the IT staff unless we have a problem, and it would be great to hear from their mouths instead of other people's, the types of things that we can be doing with the hardware and the software that we have. Making sure new teachers are up to date and they learn things more quickly. And then when talking about students, making sure that they have hotspots that they can bring home with them, especially working at a school that has about 50% low income. That's something that could be provided by projects like the 1 Million Project, which is a Sprint funded thing that actually my school did last year. But then while in this class, I realized there was a lot more of these types of programs that give students hotspots when they don't have internet access at home. Going to one-to-one, obviously that's super important. And then making sure that every year the IT staff reassesses access depending on the parts of the building, as well as how many students have computers. I know, for example, we're going one-to-one with our whole student body next year, and that will be difficult, and I'm sure we'll have some errors and things like that as we start going through and making sure that we have access. The third area is technology procurement and disposal. In this class, I learned a lot about the disposal of hardware and making sure that that's green. There's a lot of businesses that's their specialty, so making that a priority is one of the most important things that I talked about in my instructional technology plan. Having open communication with staff and students about what is valuable to them. And then obviously getting funds from Title I if accessible. We do have some Title I funds. That's the way that we're going one-to-one this year. So continuing to access Title I funds to make our technology better. And then a creation of a disposal list, so that those types of things can be shown to the stakeholders. These are the things that we're getting rid of, and then obviously would be getting new things to replace them. Area 4 is the budgeting and auditing section. Having a 5-year public budget is important when looking at technology. making sure that not only that we're creating technology and we're using technology, but that we can continue to build on that and don't become stagnant. And so making sure that that budget is in place. Repurposing computers. I think that a way to do this is to give students who are graduating the computers that were once used by the current students. It says in a lot of studies that every 4 years, computers should be recycled. And so, that doesn't mean that they're not useful at all, but that just means that they're not useful for the whatever that is that the school's wanting them to be useful for. So repurposing computers by giving them to people within the community who need them. Making sure that our goals are aligned with our wants and needs and that we don't have any things that we're buying but we're not using. Obviously, that would change the budget quite a bit. And then utilizing the Illinois Learning Technology Purchase Program. I looked into this quite a bit as well. And basically what that is a program that allows you to compare, the prices of different resources and then, aligning those again with your goals, wants, and needs. And then ensuring all computer settings are green so that we're not using extra things that we don't need that end up costing more money, power, and etc. Area 5 is the professional development, which is at the heart of making sure that all teachers, students, and IT staff are on the same page. Making sure that teachers understand copyright and fair use. I thought that the GCN training, obviously, and most schools have to do this, and I thought it would be a good time to review copyright and fair use because I don't think we talk about that enough. Continued questionnaires that ask what needs, wants are of students and staff, and then tiered technology training where basically people who are more comfortable with technology don't have to go through the kind of basics, and vice versa. People who are less comfortable have that option to go through the basics. There should be an added conversation about technology use during post-conferences and summatives. This isn't part of our current evaluation, but that doesn't mean that there can't be conversations about it at those times. And I think that would be a time where, administration would put their computers away and say, this is no longer part of your evaluation. This is just an open conversation about how to use technology, and then teachers can showcase that to each other. Also looking at making sure that all the subgroups can discuss how tech can help the students that they're working with. If they have an IEP, if they're English language learners, obviously the technology is different for those students. And so creating subgroups in our professional development to have those conversations, as a lot of times the mainstream conversations don't apply. There should also be separate PD for IT staff to ensure that they, as the top tier, are learning and communicating then with us. The next area is technology support plan. Right now, we do have an email and direct phone contact with the IT staff, which we use quite a bit. And I think that's a great access to them, especially if there's something that needs to be fixed fast and, your computer breaks, but it's a really quick fix. You just don't realize it, etc. Those are the types of things that would be powerful. Google form that can be accessed from the student staff desktop that can submit problems that they are having so that IT staff can see kind of trends, like when are those types of things happening? If there's connectivity issues, does that come at a certain time of day? Is that in a certain area of the school? Those types of things. Visual communication with all students on that Google Drive that I had mentioned before, and then communication in the student languages that are within the school. So, making sure that we are communicating in the languages that our students have so that anybody who is ELL isn't left behind, and anybody who maybe, it's harder for them to just like read through instructions and things, students who have that built into their IEPs, if we have visual communication, that can be helpful for them as well. Area 7 is, again, talking about communication and kind of piggybacks on what I just talked about, but having that IT staff direct email, direct phone line. Monday morning, I think that should be built into our Monday morning. We have PD time, and that, again, that conversation with the technology department should be open rather than just only counting on them when we need them, but rather using them to help us build our skills and understand what we have. I think a lot of the things that we have are not available to us. And then I have area 8, which is hardware. Make sure that updates are regulated, that we cycle computers every 4 years as supported by research, and that we use Spicework, which is a very cool thing that helps keep track of when particular hardware needs to be recycled. That would be part of the process when teachers are given computers. And thanks for listening.